Right then, welcome folks to another pedal video. Today we're going to do a little bit of a different take on the traditional pedal demo that we like to do. This is the first time I've plugged into this thing and legitimately the first time I will ever have heard it. So stick around, we're going to delve into some tones and some thoughts. But before we do so, if you enjoy the kind of thing that we put out here, make sure you leave a like down below, make sure you're subscribed, and after this video is done, I'd very much like to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right, so welcome to New MXR Pedal Day. This is the latest addition to the Super Badass family, and I've got to say that's just pretty much the best name for a line of pedals probably ever. Well, it's certainly right up there. MXR really nailed it with the original incarnations of their Badass series. So you may remember back in the day you had the custom Badass OD, which was kind of like a modified TS style pedal, really nice. It had a controllable low-end frequency control on there, so really useful. You then had a couple of distortions. Most recently you had the Super Badass Variac Fuzz, which I love that pedal. And now we got this. So the name implies that this is going to be something that you utilize your volume control for. Dynamic OD. Really simple topography, just got 3 knobs and a little boost and cut switch. So I have not heard this yet, so I'm going to play with the standard tone through the Dr. Z Maz 18. I've got this Fender American Performer Telly, so we're going to go for some single coil tones for a little bit of a different twist here. And I'm very curious to see what this is going to be about, and you're going to come on the journey with me. So, without further ado, here's the clean tone, and then we're going to check out the pedal. Here we go, all controls at noon apart from the volume. Alright, before we go any further, I think it's pretty clear what this pedal is trying to do. Like I said just a few moments ago, dynamic is the key buzzword here that we're going to focus on. A lot of pedals do claim to have a very strong dynamic range, though I think often people complain that you don't have the same level of dynamic range as you do when you plug straight into the front end of a cooking valve amp, and that's fairly obvious to the reasons why. You know, you've got an awful lot more voltage for one thing in an actual amplifier. It's always hard to capture that in a pedal, but technology is getting better and better and better and better these days in the pedal game. So I'm guessing what MXR are doing here is they are going very much for that volume control kind of ideal behind the design. I didn't have a whole lot of gain. I actually turned it down from midway down to about 10 o'clock here, and that to me, that's nailing it, because I turned down the volume on the guitar and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It's almost telepathic in that way. So let me just try that again. I'm in the cut mode on the switch here, so we're going to check out what the boost does as well, but I'm just going to go back to that tone, let you hear the dry tone one more time first. So you can actually, at the low end of the gain register, almost barely decipher between the dry tone and when the pedal's on, it's really transparent, and I really like that about it. And I always like to, if I can, find that point on a pedal, because then you just know exactly what you're doing, and everything you're doing is just adding to that bass tone, and you know the pedal isn't coloring in any particular way. So let's start from there. I'm going to play around with the tone, I'm going to play around with the gain, and I'm also going to play around with this two-way position boost cut switch. So let's go crazy. So at least at the low end of the gain, that tone control seems to actually be more of a mid-range kind of focus point, because when I turned it up all the way, didn't get overly strident in the top end, but it really pushed out the kind of the actual pronunciation of the note, if you like. You know, the real edge of the note became really, really prevalent. So let's just keep that in the middle, and I'm going to increase the gain and see if it operates in a different way. So yeah, same kind of thing, even as I increase the gain. It's a really, really usable tone range, which you don't often find on gain pedals of many sorts, actually. You know, you often find a little sweet spot kind of section, usually around halfway, or about 1 o'clock is the sweet spot on most tone controls. I think you can kind of use that pretty much any way you like. As I say, just as a different way of pushing the note out, and kind of, you really hear the emphasis of the pick on the string. Let me turn the tone up again. I'm going to go full gain, see how much this thing's got, with a high setting on the tone, and you'll hear the edge of this pick. So with the gain pinned, it gets pretty heavy. It's got a little touch of the kind of the fuzzy low end to it as well, which I really like. So, you know, again, that's something that an actual valve amp does. If you crank the preamp, usually it gets a little bit, well, depending on the kind of amp, but more of a vintage style amp. This isn't claiming to be an amp in a box, but it definitely has that kind of sensibility to it. You know, you could definitely treat this as your amp, preamp if you like, and then just do everything from the volume, stick an overdrive pedal in the front of it, and so on. So let's finally check out what this switch does. So it's in cut mode, that's where it's been the whole time. I'm going to put the gain about 1 o'clock and the tone about the same, and we'll go from cut into boost and see what it does. So it sounds like it's boosting the gain, definitely, and maybe a little bit of the lower mids. That's kind of what I'm taking from that. I'm sure you'll be able to check out the specs on our website by clicking the link down in the description below if you want to find out exactly what that actually does. But just to my ear, on first impressions, bit of gain, bit of extra mid-range, but doesn't really change the fundamental tone of the pedal, which again is something I quite like because you know what you're in for. So I really like it with the gain around 1 o'clock, tone about the same. That's kind of the hallmark of a great drive pedal anyway, in most cases. So I'm going to add a little bit of delay after it and just sort of play around a little bit more. I'm going to go for some neck pickup stuff and let's just see what we can get out of it. I'm in the boost mode again on the switch, and I'll play around with the volume a bit more. Well, I don't think I need to play too much more. I think that really came across quite well there. It's earned its name, Dynamic, and hopefully I think it's earned its racing stripe as well. That's a pretty cool little design nod that you don't see on too many pedals. So, there we go, the Super Badass Dynamic Overdrive pedal. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, but this is definitely one for the leave on all the time players, in my opinion. Now, this is a very core tone. You're either going to really love that, or it's not going to be for you. I guess you could kind of use it as a lead boost. Let's just try that quickly before we sign off here. So I'm going to crank the output, turn the drive down, and kind of get more of a kind of, try and get a mid-rangey lead boost, you know, the way most people use an overdrive pedal. So let's turn the output up. Gain, we'll start with it all the way off. Let's check this out. That's great straight away. It's super fast, super articulate. Yeah, does that as well. Pretty versatile little box. So, you can find out more information about the Super Badass Dynamic OD by clicking the link down below, or indeed up here in the top corner to head to our website, peachguitars.com, where you can also find the rest of the Super Badass family and the rest of the much greater and wider MXR family of products there too. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let us know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching.